bringing to you the stories that have never been told, the news that has yet to unfold, and the voices you have not heard. This is the Caribbean Cannabis channel, where we meditate and educate on all things ganja within the Caribbean region, with your host, Prophet Natty.
Yo, peace and love everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Caribbean Cannabis channel. I hope that you are meditating or even medicating, because we are about to educate you. Today's episode, I'm reflecting on my time in the Cayman Islands, and while in the Cayman Island, I would have had to find a plug. And while I was finding that plug, it actually showed me that customer service, customer experience goes beyond a quote-unquote legitimate or a legal cannabis business. And that's something I believe a lot of us run from, that just because you are not a quote-unquote legitimate, you do not have to put as much effort into retaining your customers or satisfying your customers' desires, their wants and their needs. And customers come to you for a purpose. And that purpose is possibly that you offer great service. And while I was at the Cayman Islands, the service that I would have gotten from that plug made me realize again, it doesn't matter what you are doing, what you are supplying, you need to ensure that you have excellent or superb quality customer service to give an awesome experience. So today's episode, we're going to be diving into that. So no matter if you're plant touching or you are non-plant touching, you want to stay tuned for the rest of this episode. Alright, thank you for staying with the Caribbean Cannabis channel. We're going to give you a snapshot before we actually get into customer experience foundation. And this snapshot is a combination of my own professional time being a customer experience specialist, and also through my experience interacting with customers themselves in the cannabis industry, the brand owners, retailers, etc. One thing that we identified was 60% of customers, and even cannabis customers, want more product information. We always say we are in the age of information, and that is very true. People want to know more about not just the product that they are consuming, but the brand. So what can you do to educate them about that without giving out your own personal information? And I know we love to remain anonymous within the cannabis industry, but where's the human connection and where's the education beyond selling me a product? We want to give a bit more detail and be more transparent, and we would have touched on that on one of our latest episodes, where we showed you how you can build trust within your cannabis business. So you want to take a listen to that episode as well. You also want to realize that personalization drives a vast majority of purchase options. People want to know that you are listening to them, you are paying attention to what they are purchasing, so that you now can personalize the experience. If you are giving the same experience to everyone, with them knowing that, it doesn't have the same emphasis. People like to feel special. You like to feel special. I love to feel special. So your customer is not going to be any different. So just remember that the more that you can personalize someone's experience, then it is better for you on the long run. Because if something is personal to me, I know I'm not going into another section. I know I'm not going to another business to get what I need when you are already catering to everything I need. Take Netflix, for example. Many people have a Netflix account, and when you have a Netflix account, your shows that you see being recommended, it's due to your past history, what you like to watch, the shows that you are always committed to. And when you go onto someone else's account, there's a mark being missed. You have to scroll and search way more intensely than you would if you go onto your own account. So just take that into mind when you are personalizing someone's cannabis experience. And the last thing that I got from my snapshot, and it remains very important, it's probably one of the number one challenges that we can face being in the cannabis industry, due to the regulations, not just through your licensing authority, but even through social media, marketing, just the overall space of the cannabis industry has so many regulations for you to remain compliant. So, in building your customers' experience, you want to ensure that you are being as compliant as you can be, that you are looking for the different updates because the updates are coming fast and furious within the cannabis industry. So that's something you need to be mindful of. And that's just a quick snapshot for you as to what you could expect in delivering to your customers. Now let's jump into the meat of the matter. And the first thing I actually want to jump into is customer segmentation. I'm not too sure how many of you realize that you may be targeting too many different types of customers, and it may be a disadvantage to you and to the customers that are coming to you. Now you may tell yourself, but Natty, I don't want to leave anyone out from my experience. I want to allow everyone to partake in what I am offering. And that is very ambitious of you and very generous. And I was once in the same boat, don't get me wrong. I was once in the same boat starting off this podcast. I wanted to reach everyone and ensure that everyone's voice is being heard. But sometimes when you're allowing everyone's voice to be heard, you're also drowning out their voice in the long run. So you have to be very mindful that you are targeting specific individuals, and this may be in the form of a niche. So as you see, as the podcast transitions into a new phase, I am being more strategic and intentional with who I'm targeting. I'm targeting cannabis businesses, especially those that are emerging, not just in the Caribbean, but across the globe. Dealing with customer segmentation, I would have just identified a few customer segments that you should be on the lookout for as a cannabis business to know how to pivot your marketing, to pivot your communication, your labeling, and everything else that involves interacting with your customer. So, number one on the list, because we are dealing with a medical product, a medicinal product, medical patients is one of your first customers that you are going to have to cater to. When you are dealing with medical patients, there are some things that you will need to take into consideration. Number one being, you want to be very precise with your product information. You would have heard me mention about the transparency before, and I cannot stress it enough to you. But because you are dealing with medical patients and there are regulations in place and standards in place, you want to be very accurate with what you are giving to your customers, and that when they are asking information, you are able to be proactive in providing it to them so they do not have to come and ask you certain information. You also want to take a more wellness focus approach. And when we say a wellness focus, your wording and your branding should be about healing and about medicating and about relief for different ailments. If you are taking a more recreational approach where it's about getting high and socializing with your friends, then you're missing the mark for your medical patients because they are not coming to you for that type of relief or to add something into their life. So be very mindful of the approach that you are taking when you are dealing with medical patients. You probably want to give the options of virtual consultation or in-house consultation. And I would have mentioned one of these trends that you can hop onto where there's a built-in consultation program into their visiting your dispensary, so that whether they are now signing up or they are regular visitors, that you are catering to their needs of having a consultation done with a doctor if they do like, because it can shift based on where they are at in their medical journey. So that's something to be mindful of. Next up on the list is our personal favorite, who have been pushing the cannabis movement a whole heap and usually gets a bit more of the stigma and backlash because of that. Our recreational users, and we tend not to want to split medical and recreational and the different segments, but the reality is people use cannabis for different reasons, and there are people who use it socially, even though in the extent to they are also getting a medical relief. But for the purposes of this podcast and speaking to you, we are segmenting medical patients to recreational. So dealing with the recreational users, they are looking for an experience when they come to your brand, to your business. You want to have not just a detailed product listing, but you also want to show them things that they have never heard about or seen before. Because when you are recreational or you are experienced user, you get accustomed to a lot of the things that are being shared. It's very step and repeat, and we don't want to get boring with our recreational users. You want to ensure that there are experiences involved for them to partake in, right? Probably looking at having a social space, whether it's indoors or outdoors when they come to your facilities. You probably want to show them fun and creative methods of recreationally using cannabis. Ensure that it's safe and responsible, but think outside of the box. What isn't currently being done that you believe a recreational user would love to do? You want to see how you can integrate different lifestyle options within their choice. So you want to cater to not just the plant material, but you probably want to look at edibles, you probably want to look at concentrates, you probably want to look at how they can use that in different arenas of their life and improve it. Whether they are a runner, there are a lot of runners now who partake in cannabis before going on for a run. Swimmers, there's different things you want to see how you can integrate your product, your brand into their life. And most importantly, you want to be trendy. So this will be involved being on top of the latest gadget and the tools involved. The cannabis is going to be involved in the different words that are being used now, because different generations of cannabis users or different types of customers, they use different words when they're relating to cannabis. So again, that's something for you to take into consideration if you are targeting the recreational users. Now, this customer segment, it can vary into either medical or recreational. And from my experience discussing with individuals, it usually leans into more medicinal, like wellness and healing, as persons are seeing cannabis as a source of alternative healing and wellness. And that is your cannabis newcomers. This is your third customer segment that you probably want to focus on. And the reason why this is a segment in by itself, the cannabis industry is continuously evolving at a rapid speed of growth. And with that means new individuals are wanting to partake in cannabis. They want to find out more about cannabis. When you are dealing with them, you want to be a bit more purposeful and intentional with what you are doing. You don't want to approach it from the perspective of being an experienced individual, because some of the jargon may go over their heads. So you want to be very educational in what you are doing. You want to use very simple language. You want to be fun. You want to show that it's about having fun as well as healing, so that it's not leaning into the historical stigma that cannabis is attached with, and maybe lead into fear for a lot of individuals, right? Then you have your experienced enthusiasts. Now, your experienced enthusiasts, like your cannabis connoisseurs, most of the time, they already either grow their own, they have their plug for many years, they're already established. So what you want to do in that is not just show them what you are doing differently, but also enhance their current experience. If you can enhance their current experience without pushing out their standard, what they have been doing, then you have the chance of winning them over. Now, it will take a bit more work to get your experienced enthusiasts, but once you do have them on board, they are definitely not going to let go, and they will assist you in even pushing your brand, your business to many other individuals, as they are already experienced and persons trust their word. So these are just some quick 4 customer segments I will want you to pay attention to when you are developing your cannabis brand and business. Now we want to take a quick commercial break to hear from our sponsors. Now, as we continue the conversation of building your customer experience strategy, we want to look at a tool that I love and I would have used with a couple of individuals. And in my time being a corporate customer experience individual, there's something called a business model plan. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's what I know it as, a business model canvas. That is the terminology, a business model canvas. And in your business model canvas, there would have been different segments. Some of it we would have touched on, which are your customer segments we are focusing on. Some of it would be the tools or your operations. But what I want to focus on from your business model canvas is your value proposition. And in having a unique value proposition, you are going to be able to retain and gain so many customers, and you're going to leave them very satisfied because you're being very intentional and specific to what you are delivering to them and what they are coming to you for. And once you're able to do that, no matter the type of businesses that are around you, cannot compete with you. In having a unique value proposition, it will look different of business that you are offering. A value proposition to you may be you are teaching individuals how to wean themselves off of cannabis. There are individuals who don't want to use it in the manner in which they would have, and I've seen cannabis coaches guide people through that, and that's a very unique selling proposition. Because the reason why it's unique as well, it's a cut from a different cloth. Many people are trying to get you into using cannabis safely and responsibly, but there aren't many who want you to use it less, because we see cannabis as something that is not detrimental to you, which it isn't, but everyone uses it differently or wants to have a different connection, and probably that's your unique selling proposition. Probably your unique selling proposition is that if you are plant touching, you only carry a specific strain or types of strains. So you may only focus on strains that are more indica dominant. And because you only have indica dominant strains and you are niched into that, you would get a lot of individuals who are coming specifically for that type of cannabis experience. Another unique selling proposition may be you are offering a complete tour from seed to sale as to how your cannabis dispensary operates. Being very intentional about what your value is and what you're offering to your customers is a great way to enhance your customers' experience. And implementing a business model canvas, no matter where you are at in your business life cycle, whether you are beginning or you are 5 years in, 10 years in, it's a great way to go back to the drawing board and analyze and invent or reinvent rather what you have been doing and improving on it. You want to also look at building trust through education, which is another value proposition that each cannabis business has, but you may have different focus. So you may have a comprehensive strain guide, so that if you cannot afford having a medical consultant there, or you are a simple plug operating from your bedroom, even you don't have that access to a medical consultant, you are still able to give a comprehensive strain guide to each person that comes to you. Right? Whether you're operating through WhatsApp and you have your product listing and you have everything that is in that product, then share that. Probably you want to have a consumption guide. You're showing individuals of how you can consume in the different arenas of cannabis safely and responsibly. There's so many different value propositions that you can employ into your business. So I just wanted to share with you that, and I'll be sharing a template below in the show notes that you can copy and take for yourself and see, no matter the type of business, whether you are plant touching or an ancillary service business such as myself, of how you can improve of your customers' experience. Now, with all that being said, it wouldn't make sense that I give you all of that information and also not give you some immediate strategies that you can implement into your own business. So one of the first things in having a practical customer activation plan, you need to get everybody in your business on board. And the best way to do that is through training. And you're going to hear me continuously emphasize the importance of training your staff or having knowledgeable staff because it's evolving. And when you're evolving, you always have to keep up to date with information that's coming out, consumption trends, the wording, labels. There's so much to actually do, and how you can do so in your own personal pursuit is partake in certification programs for your staff. Ensure that your staff are certified to do what they are meant to do. And yes, having your own practical experience through the years is important, but in building customer experience, especially if you are a legitimate business, knowing that those who you are interacting with are certified in what they are doing adds a different level of reassurance that cannot be matched, honestly speaking. I'm sure that you would prefer to hear someone is certified in bartending and they have been doing this for years, opposed to Jake, who is just looking for a summer job, which is great. Jake needs a summer job and you are offering that service to him. But are you training Jake or are you just giving him a position to fill and just selling products? There's a whole different experience as it relates to that. So you want to know how you're pivoting yourself and training your staff and showing your customers that it's not just someone selling you a product, but it's someone who is invested, is passionate, and will always ensure that what I am buying for myself is suited to me and not just suited to getting a product out and money into your business pocket. You want to have compliance workshops, and the compliance workshops are not limited to your business. You can look at how you involve the community, whether it's your customers themselves who don't really know what's happening in the cannabis industry and curious about it, or people who just want to again be more knowledgeable and certified in that arena. Ultimately, apart from things that are dealing with the cannabis industry, you want to ensure that you are training your staff overall to just deliver excellent customer service. And I'm not too sure how many individuals are being trained to do such, because it tells in the operations of a business and the dealings of your bartenders or your customer service reps that you have. So it's very important that you give holistic training. And if you are looking for someone to offer that service to you, feel free to reach out to me via email. My contact information is in the show notes below, and we can see how we can train your staff to deliver excellent customer service suited to a cannabis business. And in terms of implementation as well, apart from training your staff, we want to look at integrating technology into your business. And it's very important whether you are simply using it as a form of communication, you have a algorithm in place to personalize the experience of your buyers, or you're just using technology to track your inventory. So there's a lot of different things you can integrate, and one way you can do that is again having that personalized recommendation system. If you are someone who tracks your customers' purchases, this will be very important for you. Or even if you don't, you should start to track your purchases to see what is your top sellers, what a person's interested in, what a person's not so interested in, so that you now can reposition your brand, reposition the products, your services to meet what your customers actually desire and want. One of the last things I want to leave you with, if you cannot do it yourself, no worries. There are tons of different software actually available now for you to integrate into your cannabis business that takes away a lot of the groundwork, and that is already there. So they will have their standard operating procedures already in place to streamline your customer experience and for your business. So customer experience is not limited to simply the quote-unquote legitimate cannabis businesses. It is meant for everyone who is building a cannabis brand, and because of the history that we have any cannabis industry, we're dealing with shady plugs. You need to ensure that you are a high quality provider of products and services. And this is your host, Prophet Natty, sharing with you a customer experience masterclass. And if you are interested in having an experience get provided to your staff, reach out to me via the show notes below, and we'll see how best we can transform your cannabis business to being a cannabis customer experience. Peace.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Caribbean Cannabis channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook so you don't miss out on any of the exciting news happening across the region. Until next time, remember to meditate and educate.